Hey, how's it going, guys? George Nix here of Lakeshore Video. Today we're going to be checking out the behind the scenes of a TEDx event that I did. I do TEDx events every single year with Valparaiso University in Northwest Indiana. And we, for the last couple of years, have been live streaming it. So there's a fair amount of extra setup that goes into it that maybe your average event videographer might want to hear about. Maybe they want to get into live streaming. I don't know. I just wanted to show you guys the behind the scenes of this so you can see how I do it. And it's probably, honestly, a really unique way of doing it. Because all of our cameras are wireless. We did 6 camera setup, all wireless this year, and it turned out really well, and it was honestly my best work. So and it was all just me, one person running all the cameras. The university takes care of the audio, so basically they send me a feed from the boards, and I do a little bit of processing to try and clean that up, because I don't know, maybe they just don't have the greatest boards there or something like that. But I was getting a hiss. I did isolate one of the issues, which was we had to add a DI box because we had a ground loop, so that got rid of a buzz that we had in there. But the hiss is something that's essentially sometimes when you have crappier mixers, or they're just old mixers, and you're trying to send that signal all the way across the room to something else, you end up getting a hiss in there that there's nothing you can do about it except fix it in post. So for the live stream, there was a little bit of a hiss, which was not great. And then they ended up actually forgetting to turn on the microphone for one of the presenters. So during the break, we had them redo their whole entire speech for the recording, which, I mean, we live streamed that portion of it too, just because, people got to know, sometimes things go wrong. You have students running this, it is what it is. It's a learning experience for them. So, now, if I mess something up, then I'd be in big trouble because I'm getting paid for that. But when it comes to the students, we kind of forgive them a little bit for messing some things up during a live stream. And it's not a big deal. We re-recorded it, and I was able to take out all the hiss and everything in post. So we still had amazing recordings. So let's jump on over and take a quick look at one of them. So this is I just picked one at random. We did a bunch of them, I think 11, something like that. So you can see our wide shot here.
There are many reasons.
And then I have 2 medium shots, one from this side and one from the other side.
For some,
and then I got
it
my
is
close up.
a moral obligation. For others, a legacy.
So,
and for some, it's just because they want to help people.
Let me just mute this. Okay. So, and then I also have an audience shot, which is super cool. I had 2 audience shots, actually. So we have the wide audience shot, and then I have a close-up audience shot. And I think in a second here, he might ask the audience something where it goes to the close-up shot. I don't remember. Let me zoom through some of this. So this shot is nice because you can see the Valparaiso University. And these shots are actually all set up based on TEDx's own guidelines. And so for this, we actually are running an HDMI cable all the way across the room, and the person on stage is looking at a TV that's in the back of the room, so they know what slide it's on without turning around and looking at the screen. And then we're splitting it off of that with just a simple HDMI splitter, and then going into the ATEM Mini. So I'm going into channel 1 on the ATEM Mini with this. Or I might have been going into channel 2. It doesn't matter which channel it's going into, 1 or 2. And then that way I can switch to the screen whenever I need to. let me scroll through and see if I can show you that other audience shot, because I know that there's at some point it shows the audience. Oh yeah, when he's talking about his wife, I think I may have done. Oh, there it is. So there's my close-up audience shot right here. And I don't go to this super often because, well, partially because this is the second half, so a lot of people had already left. And for some reason they didn't want to sit in these chairs up front. I wish they had just sat in the chairs up front, because then we could see them, or it would just look like it's more full. But you can see in this shot, there's that TV up on the top right, up here. That's how the person on stage knows. And then right here, that red stuff is that's me. I'm not sure what the red light actually is, but that's where I am, up on a little platform just straight back from center stage. And I have my wide and close up on that, and then on either side of the room are my two medium shots. So let me just scroll through this a little more. Oh, here's our other medium shot. So we have one medium shot from over here if they're addressing this side of the audience, and then one from the other side. It's kind of really, it's a little bit redundant, but also you want to have redundancy for something live like this. If somebody's like getting up and walking around, getting in front of one of these medium shot cameras, then we can always cut to the other one. So it's nice to have that. But mainly you kind of stick to the close up. It just depends on how much they're moving. If they're moving a lot, then I end up going to my side shots a little more, because I don't want to show everybody the movement of that close-up shot. Like if they're pacing back and forth, it gets a little annoying to be moving the camera back and forth like that. And it's a little tricky, honestly, because we're so far back. We're way zoomed in, because I'm using a 200 millimeter. This is a 70 to 200, but I'm zoomed in at 200 and cropped in on APS-C. So it's really like a 300 millimeter lens. And that's not easy to keep stable when you're moving it. And then always we go to the wide shot before ending it. So now that you've seen what it looks like, and it sounds pretty good, you can hear.
Answer. If I had to boil down what I do in my business, it is to help other people find answers to these questions.
It honestly sounds awesome. And the way how I made it sound awesome is I use Adobe Podcast AI. It's like Adobe has this thing where you can use AI to enhance your audio, and it works really well for any kind of spoken, anything that's using a voice for your audio. Like anytime you're doing talking, you can have really terrible audio and throw it in there and it works. So just look up Adobe Podcast Audio and you'll find it. It's like a brand new beta thing that they're testing right now, but it works amazing. It really cleans up that audio. I could probably even show you. So here's before. Let's do. Maybe. I don't hear anything in this. No, it would have been these two, right? Oh, right. It's so long, I just can't find the spot where they're talking. Oh, and it's extremely quiet because it's 32-bit float. So I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's very hissy beforehand, and I end up exporting a WAV file as a 32-bit float, and then for each one of them, and then I bring it into the Adobe Podcast for the enhanced audio and bring that back in. So let's see. Here's our behind the scenes. Just a little more behind this. This is like, you can see these are my wireless transmitters. So this is again like a almost an experimental setup that like not a whole lot of people are doing this. In fact, I don't know anybody else doing it with 6 cameras all at once. Churches and stuff use some of these wireless transmitters, but you'll see in a second how I have all these receivers like right up against each other, and it actually worked. I was surprised it worked myself, honestly. I thought there'd be interference, but so I have these top handles on this on the each camera where I can put my battery that powers the camera itself. And then because this is an all day event, so I need to keep this stuff powered up and running all day. And because I was able to access power at some of them, I just plugged those in as well. These battery sleds that hold the NPF batteries, they can be plugged in. You can have power going into it, so that's like another way to just keep everything powered up, which is nice. But this is the GH5S and the G9. And so these two actually have dummy batteries. So if I want to hot swap the batteries, I do have to plug something in here, which I have other battery banks that give PD power. That's power delivery power. That's what you need in order to keep the cameras running. So I do have a way to, even with the dummy batteries, hot swap. But on the S1 and S5, you can hot swap without plugging anything else in because it'll automatically switch to the internal battery, because we're just going USB-C into the S1 and S5. So yeah, you can see these wireless transmitters, they also use the NPF batteries, and those are who makes it? Cineview HE wireless transmitters. That's what those are. They're HDMI, so just come out of the camera and go right into that. You can see I was using the 12 to 60 Leica on the S5. That was for my close-up of the audience. And then over here for my wide shot of the audience, this was the G9 with the Sigma 18 to 35 and a speed booster. That's a who makes this? Not Viltrox. I have a Viltrox one for the GH5S because that's 0.71 times, but this one is the Metabone speed booster, which is 0.64 times, because you can go a little bit wider with the speed booster on the G9 because it's a different size sensor than the GH5S actually. So you can actually do more. Like you can only magnify 0.71 times on the GH5S, but you can magnify 0.64 times on the G9. So gives you f-stop of 1.1 on a 1.8 lens. So it pretty good in low light, even though it's not a low light camera. You just don't have to crank the ISO because your f-stop's so low. Here's one of my side shots. This is a medium shot. That was just the 85 millimeter lens, and I believe I did crop into APS-C on that. So 85 times 1.5, I don't know what that is, like 135, something like that. So that's a pretty good zoom range for being such a small camera and small lens. And these ones I think I also plugged in. It's not plugged in right now, you can see, but I think I did end up plugging these ones in because there was a wall plug right next to it. So I was like, might as well. And I was a little concerned because I had this on for like 8 hours straight, and I know that these batteries on the transmitters will last 8 hours, but I'm not sure if the camera batteries will last a full 8. It looked like they were getting low, so I plugged them in. But again, it'll swap over to the internal battery, which will get me an extra hour or two, even at, we were doing 1080-60 because the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO is what we're using, and that thing maxes out at 1080-60, and also these transmitters max out at 1080-60. Facebook's live streaming maxes out at 1080-60, so we were streaming to the Valparaiso University TEDx Facebook page. So Because everything maxes out at 1080/60, I just do that for all of my cameras, just to have the maximum quality. I like the way 60 looks for events and stuff too. It looks good. So here's just the other one. You can see that one actually is plugged in right now in this shot. But those are identical shots from each side. So this is the insane, awesome setup that I have for doing wireless live streaming now. So we got the 8-channel input on the ATEM Extreme ISO. Now down here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wireless transmitters. I was a little worried putting them down in the case like this that they might interfere with each other, but it worked flawlessly. Didn't have any issues. We were just running on the standard profile or whatever on them. There's like one that's made for speed, one that's made for quality, and then one that balances the two, and that's what we were using. But I could probably use the one made for quality, and not, it might do a little more delay, but it'll still be fine. Because essentially what we're doing with the audio is we're delaying our audio by the number of frames that the HDMI transmitters are delayed. So in this case, it was 6 frames. I believe there's 2 frames of delay built into the HDMI outputs on Lumix cameras. Just automatically, they all have 2 frames of delay. And on the S5s in particular, you can shut off the audio transmission in order to decrease the delay. And I don't know if that is necessary or not, but I did that just to maximize it, and it ended up being the same delay on all the cameras. And the S5s have like a micro HDMI port. So maybe that's why you have to shut off the audio to get the same amount of delay. Anyways, it was 2 frames on that, and then 4 frames for the wireless transmitter. So it ended up being 6 frames of delay, and that was like perfect. And then I got my monitor right here that shows you all the different camera views. And one thing to kind of keep in mind on this, if you do decide to go with wireless transmitters like this, it only works in inputs 3 through 8. It does not work on input 1 and 2. And that's a kind of a limitation built into the ATEM Mini because of gaming, essentially. There's a different protocol for the inputs 1 and 2, because with gaming, you want to be able to have like a true pass-through where your output is like the same. There's no delay from your input through to your output on the HDMI. So there's input 1 and 2 are faster on their input to output ratio or whatever. There's like no lag to going into it and then coming back out of the HDMI out. So that way you can record in the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO while playing the game without any issues. But that causes it to basically, the whole screen turns green when you try to plug in one of these transmitters, because they're not using that same protocol. So you can only use 3 through 8 for this. But, I only have 6 cameras. I have 6 cameras that are wireless. So I don't plan to go up to 8 wireless cameras. If I want the other 2, I'll just wire them direct in. It's not a huge deal. But if I did that, then the lag wouldn't be the same on those. So you kind of got to limit yourself to the 6 cameras, unless you're doing a wide shot. You'd probably be fine getting away with that. But like being a few frames off. But the reason why I did all wireless is specifically so that they all had the same lag, so that in the ATEM app I can lag the audio 6 frames, and it lines up on all the shots. So you don't want to have different lag on different cameras. Let's go through here. So this is just my cart full of equipment, loading it all in. So it takes quite a bit of equipment. Two of these boxes are literally just batteries. Three of these boxes are just for live streaming, different components for the live streaming. So yeah, it's a lot. And yeah, two of these are batteries, and one of them is just other power cables and extension cords and stuff. And then obviously tons of tripods and all the cameras too. So here is, while it's actually going, you can see it's when it's dark like this, it actually looks super cool. And I usually have like a little light back here if I need it, if I need to see something. A lot of times I'll put a headlight, like a headlamp on. I just realized that this was the wrong size. So there you go. Now you can see this stuff. Is that the wrong size for this too? Anyways, there you can see the wireless transmitters a little better. So here is my setup from in the back. We have the 70 to 200, like I said, and then down below that is my 14 to 24 Sigma. So I think all the way out at 14 to get the whole room. So yeah, even though they were right next to it, I still had it wireless to keep the same lag. And there you go, Accsoon Cineview HE. Just a little video showing you how I'm running it. Oh, and this is just behind the scenes of all the batteries. So many batteries, it's ridiculous to keep everything powered up. A couple more behind the scenes showing it running. Yeah, it's a very complicated setup, I'm not gonna lie. Like, just setting up that box, just setting up that case took me hours, and I set it up the day before. Like, I was up all night setting it up because it just came in that day. It was May 21st. But yeah, I run it all myself. Like, the only camera I really have to move is that close-up camera, and so I'm basically just switching the whole time and just making sure my close-up camera keeps them in the shot. And we're recording it in OBS as a backup, but I'm also the main recording is actually in the ATEM Mini, and the ATEM Mini will record all my different cameras here as separate videos. So like, if I need to re-edit something later, like, I have all of these separate shots all recorded. I'm not recording in the camera itself because it would kill the battery even quicker. And I'm trying to have them run all day on one set of NPFs. So I don't, and also, if I had to offload 6 different cameras, it would just take forever. Honestly, even at 1080 60, like, it's going to fill up those cards. It'll be 128 gigabytes per camera, so it would just take massive amount of time to offload everything. And the quality out of the ATEM Mini is great, so even with the wireless transmitter and stuff, like, it looks great. So just recording it in the ATEM Mini is awesome. It even records like my screen up there so that I can add that back in anytime I want. So and then it records obviously my main program of all my switching, and then it also gives me a DaVinci Resolve file that you can open up and re-edit it later. So yeah, the ATEM Mini is amazing. I love that thing so much. Um, Everything about it. And it's recording it straight onto a T5 or T7 Samsung drive. I'm using T7, that's the newer one. But it records it all straight onto there, and you can edit straight off of those things because they're so fast. So yeah, it's so easy, so much nicer to just have all the cameras recorded into one spot and already start editing. It's already pre-edited because I edited it live, but there's a few spots on the live where I'm like, I could have done that transition a little better, so I just fixed those few spots and then export, and we're good to go. So and I'll obviously fix the audio too, because the audio was not as good on the live stream. It was a little hissy, and even though OBS lets me do noise suppression, it wasn't quite enough noise suppression to really make it sound super good. So yeah, I did a lot of processing in post with that Adobe AI and Adobe Podcast Audio AI, whatever, and then also like some filters and stuff, compression added. But yeah, I'm probably one of the only people, and I'm sitting here taking pictures of myself while I'm switching. And this guy was literally saying, while I was taking this picture, he was like, talking about not living on social media and being in the moment. I'm over here like literally living on social media while filming this thing of him. It was just funny, ironic. But oh yeah, I wanted to show you. So at first, I had this ATEM Mini sitting essentially right on the power brick that was had all of my USB-C or all my USB stuff, because all of these transmitters run off USB-C. So does this monitor. The power brick that's powering all of that stuff is right below the ATEM Mini, and it was actually touching it. So I have since modified this so that my power brick is lower in this, and it has airspace around it to cool. But for this, I ended up having to just raise up the ATEM Mini on a couple of these are actually D-tap batteries, V-mount batteries that they're just extra ones that I had laying around. So I just set it on that to raise it up. And then I got this little fan, and luckily I just happened to have this fan from camping, and I could plug that in. There was one USB port left, and I plugged that in, and that kept everything cool. And I plug everything into an extension cord that comes out of this box. So there's just one plug that powers everything in this box, including the transmitters, the ATEM Mini, the screen, the fan. Everything is all powered just from that one plug. And actually going from this into the computer actually powers the computer. It powers up the laptop too. But I think I did end up plugging the laptop in separately because I didn't realize it was powering the laptop as well. That's something that I just discovered the other day. I was like, oh, hey, I guess maybe I don't even need to plug in the laptop separate. It's actually running off the ATEM Mini. But yeah, I think I'm going to keep bringing this fan on everything. But I did space this out so that the ATEM Mini has room to breathe and the power has room to breathe below. I kind of stacked some plastic boxes that I had. That's what this is. It's honestly an insert for one of my boxes that I use in my truck in the back, that I'm using it for batteries. But anyways, they're just extra parts I had that I put all this together with. And then I use 3M strips to secure everything down. All those wireless transmitters are on a rail down in the bottom, and that rail is stuck to the bottom of the case using 3M Velcro strips. So yeah. can see, like, this is the case. It just folds down, closes up, has rollers on it. I love it. That's actually a little light right there. So I can see stuff if I need to, but yeah, I really love this case. And like I was saying, I might be one of the only people that has 6 wireless transmitters in one case on the go. I've never seen anybody else do that before. So I know this video is getting pretty long, so I'm going to wrap it up here. There's me. And these are just more behind the scenes. So, yeah, that's about everything. So, thanks for tuning in. My name is George Nix. If you want to check out more of my work, go to lakeshorevideo.com. That's where all my work can be found. My contact information is at the bottom. You can email me at george@lakeshorevideo.com. If you want to know more, let me know in the comments, or just if you want to hire me for your big event, big presentation, whatever. I do tons of corporate video. So anything you guys want me to do, just let me know. My name's George. You guys take it easy. Go check out lakeshorevideo.com. Later, guys.